Hello, welcome to Stars and Stones Painting Show once again. I haven't painted in a few days. I'm excited to get back into things. So I thought today I would turn the painting all the way towards the viewer so that you can see it and not at an angle or from the side. So the stand that the camera on is parallel and we can see it. We can make hand puppets on it. After all, it is a giant wall. I mean, it's literally, it's not an 8-foot ceiling, but it's big. So I am very excited about the fact that it feels like when you're in front of the painting, that you're going into it, like it's a place that you could inhabit or visit. Who's called me? So you could go into the painting. And the next thing I'm excited about is that I decided what I'm going to do with the painting. I'm very excited about having made the choices I've made so far. Some paintings come from an instant vision. You know what you want to do. A cow, a barn, okay? Or you're out and you draw a seashore and a island with a boat. Sometimes you're just moving paint, seeing what it is. Sometimes you're pouring. There's so many ways to put paint here, right? And so many, not techniques, but what I would call processes. So if you have a sketchbook and you're just sketching things, because I like circles, okay? So I'm going to make lots of different circles. And I would say that this is a giant sketchbook page, now that I think about it, because I took this piece of canvas, piece of paper, and I knew I wanted to start with a golden rectangle. I'm really fascinated by, harmony and measurements, in the physical human being, and also in everything I look around me. Why are things beautiful to me? Somehow or another, when I was very young, I knew that so much of the information that was coming to me just didn't sound right. I was raised in a religion. Some people call it a religion, some people call it a cult. And I do appreciate some of the constructs of that. Mode of spiritual guidance. On the other hand, I feel like it should almost be against the law for people to go around just saying, stories are true. And not that the stories aren't partially true. The Bible has wonderful history. All writings of cultures have wonderful historical, philosophical. But when it gets to the theology, where people are saying that the heavenly bodies are actual gods, which in a way they are in our lives, because without everything exactly as it is, right, we wouldn't exist. Whatever existence is, however, all of these quantum scale things are happening that are making me stand here, talk to you about making art, being human, needing to make art, needing to, I'm not so much trying to find answers anymore, which was a great thing in the first part of my life. But now, I just want to participate fully, as fully as I can at this point, and the things I've learned, and growing as a human. In fact, I just had an idea for an invention today. I won't tell you it's a proprietary secret, but it would be very inexpensive to create, and very useful. I actually rigged it up and kind of used it today. And it involves technology, phones, tablets. So, let's see, back to the painting. I feel like I've been talking forever. But the cool thing about, I wanted to tell you what the other thing I really like besides walking into the painting, is that I have decided what to do with the painting. So I want to pretend like this beautiful celestial sphere, okay, this shaman, and if you don't think this is possible for humans to have ever had this ability, just think about all of our ancestors, including the ones very, very far back who have traveled far distances, knowing where things are in the world without seeing anything, just feeling where the earth is. That this beautiful sphere can be seen by the shaman or person standing here, even when they're underground. Like their human capabilities are so intense, so remembered, and so strong. The location with the magnetics, I don't know how else to put it, with even being able to understand, emote things without speech. Anyways, back to the painting. So, that is part of the painting, but so I want to put all 6 of the circumpolar constellations here. And then I want to make it look like each one is projected somewhere on this room. Like, if they're a beautiful staff, which this would be a staff, with a crux on the top, and it's actually a rosy cross. Oh gosh, I have my own theory about what people have been looking at all this time, and in an upcoming book, I'll kind of put it. A lot of people think it's Venus, which is true. A lot of people think, in part, Venus is a signifier of where to really look in our solar system, where the whole thing's moving. The apex of the sun. So we'll get back to this. Now that I know, I'm really happy with the overall, background. I don't think it needs, because it's going to have the points of light. The very early temples, the pyramids, no inscriptions. The Osirion, the only inscription is the life that looks like it's been perfectly lasered in. It's crazy. The more ancient the temple, the less, no writing, no writing. Now, why? People had already been making tombs and writing in them, drawing on them, carving in them. And then all of a sudden they stopped doing that to make 3 pyramids and the Osirion. And then they started it back up again. Those gigantic buildings in Egypt, where people love to write on everything, not having any writing on them, leads me to believe they were pre-writing. There's no other reason for them not to have writing. Not even one single stone that has been found yet has writing on it. Now they could be Khafre, Menkaure, and Cheops. I'm not sure. There's 3 kings already assigned to them. If I was a queen, I would want to say, hey, I made this. I'm not saying I know. It just seems that one thing keeps me from believing anybody knows when they were made. Now, there's one thing I do have an idea of, because at one point they put cameras up one of the holes that goes up. And inside there were these copper handles on the shafts. The shafts that go out, they're blocked by a stone. And that stone has copper handles. I would like to date those copper handles, because it seems to me that the copper handles couldn't have been added to the shaft blocker stone after the fact. Alright, so I'll have to pause. Hold on. Hello? Alright, sorry about that. The baby daddy called, and my friend who has certain groceries I need called, so I have to take those. Yeah. Back to the painting. Very excited again about the way it feels like you're moving into the painting. And this doesn't even feel like the center, even though it is. It feels like it's risen above the center, or it's someplace that you have to go because you are entering it here. Oh, I wanted to say, I did lose about 20 minutes last time. What I did in that 20 minutes was sand this just with regular sanding paper. I just don't want, I mean, part of this is supposed to be educational. The main goal of it is just for me to be doing something I enjoy, which is teaching about painting without being an actual working for the man teacher. I did that for a while. It was interesting and very fun sometimes, but there's also a lot of things that could... Anyways, let's just go back to this. So what you want to do is, you know it's dry and you're just going to take off the pigment. See, this is dark. And now it's a little bit lighter. I like it because it looks like the light's coming through the stone. In fact, this eventually, all of it might end up taking on a golden hue. Or maybe this should be light because it's coming from there, but then these should actually be darker. And that way the points of light that make up the constellations that I'm going to put on there will be standing out on the dark background. We'll see. I plan on grabbing a projector and some transparencies and tracing out the constellations, and then you move the projector how you want it, and then you've got the points that you need. And then I might even draw the characters. It might even be fun to do the Egyptian characters with the Greek overlaid. Of course, the Greek are the modern. For Tarouet, it would be Draco. For Cepheus the king, it would be the shepherd. And for Cygnus, it is a horse maiden. And for Lyra, it is a man with a mace. And then we have Hercules as a man, Horus on boat. Horus as Ra on a boat. And then it all starts over again. But of course I left out the most important one, which is where we're at right now, which is Polaris. Back then it was a wolf and a plow. And it would have been after Taro. I don't know why I went straight to Cepheus, but it's Ursa Minor, Cepheus, Cygnus, Lyra, Hercules, Draco, and then back to Ursa Minor. In the Egyptian, it is wolf and plow, Cepheus the king, horse maiden, man with mace, Rahari on a bark, and then back to Draco, which is Tarouet, and then back to the wolf and the plow. Now, of course, the zodiacal constellations are around the center, and those have been evolving and changing and growing throughout the time that people have been watching the stars. Who knows the first time a person decided to say, hey, bruh, that star and that star and that star, those look like horns. Yeah, remember that one I told you the other night about that guy, the one that looks like a warrior with a belt and it looks like a human? It looks like those horns are actually like they're fighting. Start making beautiful stories to remember the stars. And then those are so mighty that they become powerful deities, and then people make up ways of worshiping them. And that turns into a mixture of myth, religion, philosophy, theology, in a myriad of ways. But as far as I can see, I'll start with looking out at the stars. even drawing a line between two dots. So maybe before the first things were drawn, uh, and people would draw in sand or make marks with paint. But then at some point, even the story of Odin, 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 Odin. I've been trying to learn how to say that from a guy like really watching. He's a professor of Norse. Let me check my time. Time's good. Yes. The professor of Norse. Odin. Odin. That's pretty close, I think. Odin, he goes up into a tree which has no roots. And then he hangs there, sacrificing himself to himself for 9 days. And he's also injured because he has a spear in his side. You know how Orion is tilted? And he grabs the runes, and then I think he gives them to some people and they give them to some people. Did letters literally come out of the sky? Did we learn to write from looking at the imaginary lines between the star dots, the points of light? Okay, oh wait, that one makes this shape. Okay, this one has that. Some of them look like trees and, other animals. So of course it could have been a myriad of things. But why that story? If it didn't seem even to the writer of this story, somebody had to write it. It didn't exist before people. People wrote it. And I think that's lost on everyone sometimes. People wrote this. Even if it was an alien or a god or anything, somebody had to write it. It's not perfect. Unless there is a perfect God. That's my point right now. Like, I really do not know. In a computer, a digital matrix from outside, is it, or inside of the sun? I don't know. There's so many different possibilities for what existence is. I kind of had to back up and get a 360 going of just letting things come in and go out about what I've learned. So, yeah. Alright, so I guess what I would like to do before I start the process of deciding where the constellations are going to be is decide if I think I'll just leave these flat like it was one piece of giant stone and it doesn't have any lines in it because there are already so many other lines. I don't want to add even more lines. It also has somewhat of a modern feel, like it could even be a modern building, not you're entering a temple, and that this just appeared before you in the building. There's so many possibilities of what the viewer would get from participating with this giant temple celestial sphere painting. I was playing earlier with maybe some different divisions of here so that this goes back and has objects in it. That would be an idea, to put each one of the, like make the actual celestial sphere round, but put it as a way, like it was some kind of locking temple or interlocking knowledge. And any knowledge that you have more than someone that you're trying to compete against is the best, right? So in ancient times, when people would have been planning a battle, they might have planned their attack on the darkest or the brightest light of the night of the year. Well, that's where it gets to be where the priests and the military are working, and one of the only reasons that the priests can just work in the temples is because they are actually helping decide what days to do things on, and this still goes on. So, how to be a priest that doesn't work for royalty? You could be a very private priestess with no congregation, nobody who wants to hear your message, and you can just teach yourself. Is that enough? I think today for me that is, because just getting this far past all these blockages, I mean, I might have believed this or that, and maybe it is the truth, but you always have to go back to the way your heart feels about things. And I just feel that what is real is almost so bigger than anyone can encompass explaining, at the small level or at the large level. One of my favorite ideas is that we are like a smaller part of a larger being. And for some reason what we're doing is important, or maybe just an accident, but we're part of something larger. All right. I mean, there really are all kinds of theories. This is a type of situation where some foreign alien faction has planted people here and been genetically altering them, and other people are in on it now. I mean, we do have a Space Force. All right, I don't know what's going on. I'm not even going to say. I'm just repeating things I've heard, because I've taken the only thing that really makes me feel any better, because I really can't choose anything that I'll contradict, is just taking something from each thing and continuing to always ask questions. And in the way, I guess, that is a somewhat Socratic mode of existence. I find myself making less and less statements that something is or isn't. And I've changed those to say could or could be or possibly was. it makes me feel a whole lot better about the constant turnover of things that I think are true and then turn out being completely false or hidden when I thought it was clear. But it is what it is, you know. Absolutely is what it is. Very grateful to be this open, and after all that's happened, to be still have maintained a level of innocence and utter gratitude for just being here in this moment. And I try to remember that every moment. It doesn't always work, but I try. All right, I'm gonna take a break and get some dinner and find my projector. But before that, I think I would actually like to draw or visualize. So there are 6 circumpolar constellations. So, and this was my line here. If I put them in containers here, could make the container kind of a shallow container. So, you know, a little box of some kind. And then the constellation would be either drawn or just, it could just even be projected on, I could just separate these and then just have a symbol projected on each one.